Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, April 14th, 2021. I am your host, R.I.P, and this is 413 Sportstalk. Today, what we have on the menu are scores from the NBA, the NHL, and the MLB. We also will get into some scores from Western Mass Sports and an NFL Draft special, when I sit down and give you my top 10 defensive ends that are projected to be drafted in this year's NFL Draft. So, without further ado, let us begin. Let's get into the NBA first. Starting with the New York Knicks beating my Los Angeles Lakers, unfortunately, 111-96. Philadelphia 76ers beat the Dallas Mavericks 113-95. San Antonio over Orlando Magic 120-97. Memphis over Chicago 101-90. New Orleans Pelicans 117. Sacramento Kings 110. Washington Wizards 125. Utah 121. That was a significant loss for Utah, and we'll get into that very shortly. The Golden State Warriors finally snap their winless streak and end up beating the Denver Nuggets 116-107. What's important about that game? Steph Curry goes for 53 and is now the Golden State Warriors' all-time leading scorer. Congratulations, Mr. Curry. You are now the Warriors' all-time leading scorer. That's a feat that not many athletes get a chance to achieve. You know, with so many guys getting traded and guys not consistently staying with teams, going here, there, whatever, however it's said. You don't see that in the NBA anymore. And just like you don't see guys actually staying in college for 4 years and developing properly, coming to the NBA and being stars. And for that reason, among many other, that's why I don't think that we will ever see a player better than Jordan. I think Jordan is the limit. And there's still yet to be seen if there is somebody better than Mike out there. So hopefully one day there is. Hopefully in this lifetime, I will get a chance to, just like you would get a chance to see somebody who's better than Jordan. We've had plenty have come close. LeBron, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, one of my idols. But we've had people that have come close, but we haven't had anybody that's gone above the bar. So I think that it remains to be seen. I think it's going to happen, but when? I think the trend that needs to come back with college kids coming out and going to the NBA draft, I think they need to stay for a couple of years. And the reason behind that is a conversation for a different episode, a different type of conversation, a different time. I could get into a whole bunch on why that is, but as I said, we'll leave that for another day. So, congratulations, Steph. Warriors are time leading scorer, and we will continue on with the NBA. The Phoenix Suns beat the Houston Rockets by a score of 126-120, and that wraps up the NBA scores. Major League Baseball, the New York Yankees beat the Toronto Jays 3-1. San Diego Padres over the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-2. In 10 innings, the Miami Marlins beat the Atlanta Braves 5-3. Milwaukee Brewers over the Chicago Cubs 6-3. The Washington Nationals beat the St. Louis Cardinals 5-2. The Los Angeles Angels smoked the Kansas City Royals 10-3. Chicago White Sox over the Indians 4-3. Detroit Tigers over Houston 6-2. The Houston Astros have now lost 3 straight after their red hot start. And we have the Oakland Athletics losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-5. And Cincinnati Reds beating the San Francisco Giants out there in California 3-0. And in the National Hockey League, Detroit beating Carolina 3-1. In overtime, Chicago takes care of Columbus 4-3. Montreal over Toronto 4-2. Anaheim over San Jose 4-0. Vegas over the Los Angeles Kings 4-2. And the Arizona Coyotes beat the Colorado Avalanche 4-2. Those are your scores from the NHL. A couple things I want to bring up before we move on to the next section. Patriots wide receiver, former Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman, that's the guy, number 11, not Bledsoe, has announced his retirement. This happened a day after it is revealed that he failed his physical with the team, and Bill Belichick and the Patriots brass terminated his contract. I know how this one ends. He's going to heal up. In a couple months, he's going to miss football again, and he's going to be right in Tampa Bay. Excuse me. So, that's my prediction. Julian Edelman was a great receiver. Not Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion, but he was great. So, shout outs and salute to you, Julian, with whatever you're doing, your endeavors after football. But I truly think you're not done, and I think you are going to take a very extremely hard look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some other news, Kevin James is portraying Saints head coach Sean Payton in an upcoming Netflix movie produced by Happy Madison. As you know, that's Adam Sandler's company. And the movie is going to talk about the time when Saints coach Sean Payton was suspended from the league and coached his 6th grade son's football team. This is not a joke. This is truly something that is in the works. So Kevin James is going to play Sean Payton. Sean Payton says he's excited, and words cannot describe the honor, and he's very interested to see the final result. So, just as me, as a football fan, I kind of like Adam Sandler, Kevin James. They're both hilarious. I respect what they've done with their careers. It's going to be interesting to see how they mold who they are with Sean Payton and tell this story. So, something interesting to look out for. I don't have a release date or anything like that, but I will continue to check back and hit you guys with that as soon as I know what's going on. Hats off specifically to the Minnesota Twins and the Minnesota Timberwolves, as they have both, and respectfully, their sports have both stopped play due to the recent shooting in Minneapolis. The police murdered another African American man, an innocent African American man, and I respect both organizations for taking the time to focus on an epidemic, a huge injustice, a huge issue that is continuing to happen. As you know, George Floyd and the Derek Chauvin murder case is going on now. That's already ripped the state of Minnesota apart. And now this, after you announced the taser was coming out, and you pull a gun and shoot him. That's to say that that's unfair and injustice wouldn't even begin to describe this atrocity. But we will continue to fight and move on as a people and collectively use sports to heal and to voice our opinions and our feelings in this matter. And hopefully as a people, as one, different religions, races, colors, we come together and stop this problem for good. Because it's a problem. It's not coincidental. This is something that is continuing to happen because of the system and hate that is continually preached. Moving on to Western Mass sports. In girls volleyball, Athol beats Pioneer Valley 3-0. Greenfield over Mayhar 3-0 as well. And Frontier beats Turner's Falls by, you guessed it, a score of 3-0. Girls basketball, Holyoke beats Munson 43-47. Hampshire over Southwick 52-24. And Northampton topples Belchertown 46-23. In girls swimming, Belchertown over Holyoke 89-34. In boys swimming, Belchertown wins 113-6. I don't understand how swimming is scored, but one could assume that that's a pretty bad whooping. Boys indoor track, Northampton over Holyoke 72-19, while the Northampton girls beat the Holyoke girls 97-3. Boys basketball, Hampshire over Southwick 63-47, and in boys soccer, Hopkins beats Frontier 2-1. Gotta love those Frontier Red Hawks. They're a great school, great team. I know they're improved. They're having a tough year on the football side of things, but I'm confident that quarterback Aiden Dredge is going to get his guys motivated and really play hard for those seniors. So shout out to Aiden and his Frontier Red Hawks. Moving on to the final section of the show, an NFL Draft Special. As you know, I love football. It's my favorite sport. At one point, I aspired to be a professional, as do many of us who fall in love with this game. So, with that being said, I didn't make it professionally, obviously, because I'm sitting here with you. And I still have that love, that fire, that passion for the game. So, over the last couple of years, I've begun to evaluate college and high school prospects. So, without further ado, for this year's draft coming up on April 29th, I have broken down the best 10 at their position. Without further ado, here we go. Raheem's top 10 edge rushers, defensive ends, whatever you want to call them. The guys on the end of the line that make life a living heck for the quarterback. There's some guys that have electrifying speed. Some guys are slow as elephants, but nonetheless, they are keys to the defensive line and keys to blitzing effectively. So without further ado, let's get into the list. At number 10, I have Rashad Weaver out of Pittsburgh. I projected him to go somewhere in between the second and third round. 6'5", 270 pounds. He's great with quick bursts. He beats blocks very quickly. And I believe he's a great run stopper. His overall speed is that of a defensive tackle, though he's only 270 pounds. To me on tape, he didn't really move as fast as an edge rusher, as you would consider an edge rusher speed to be, which led me to believe he's in the NFL at the professional level, he's going to have to play inside on third downs. Don't put him as an edge rusher on third downs, or that quarterback is going to move the sticks. He doesn't have that type of speed. Quick bursts and quickness and speed are two different things. And Rashad Weaver lacks the speed to play effectively outside. I think he's best in a 4-3 scheme, but he could also play on the edge in a 3-4 hybrid defense. As I said, I project him to go in the second or third rounds, potentially at the start of the second, but it's probably more of a reality for him to go in the third round. Number 9, this is a particular guy that I might get a lot of flack for having so low on any of my lists, but we are talking about Jason Alway from Penn State. That Penn State had a lot of great pieces on it. A lot of guys going to the draft this year who are going to make an impact at the NFL level. Not much like Jason Alway, unless if you figure in Micah Parsons, who I'm going to talk about in the next episode. Jason Alway is a great defensive end, 6'5", 253. He's fast. He runs apparently a 4.38 40-yard dash. That's insane for a defensive end. he lacked with watching his film. He lacked a pass rush, a pass rush, a skill set, a multitude of different skills that he could use to get to the quarterback. It was just swim, arm up, arm down, sack, or the play wouldn't. Not every play would result in a sack. So I think at the next level he's going to need to refine his tool belt as far as that's concerned. He lacks power and certain play strength when it comes to them asking him to go inside and play the run. I think Jason Oweh is more of a edge rusher, more of a speed guy on the end. He's very effective on the end, as the guy I just mentioned, Rashad Weaver, would be better interchangeable coming to play inside on third downs, stuff like that. Don't put him out there on passing downs. It'll be bad. But Jason Oweh, I think right out of the bat can come in situational downs, pass rush downs, third down. I think he could play effectively with his speed. Could be a coverage linebacker in a nickel formation. So I think that would be a great way to have him to come along to eventually be a full every down starting edge rusher, in this league. Number 8, Carlos Basham from Wake Forest. I project him to go in between the second and third round as well. He's very hard to block. He uses a lot of power and quick moves to beat the inside guards. Again, just like Jason Oweh, he has a decent amount of speed to work with, but he's better in the sense of him being interchangeable. On first and second downs, keep him on the outside. I think he does great there. Though it depends on what you're looking at on second down anyway. But definitely pass rush downs and downs when the offense needs to move the sticks. Stick him inside, at least in the beginning of his career. And let him work on his skill set and refine those moves and get the speed up, get the quickness up to par, up to speed with the NFL game. And I think Carlos Basham will do just fine. He'll work best in a 4-3 or 4-3 system, and could potentially work well in a 4-3 hybrid system, kind of like in a freak linebacker, Zadarius Smith type role. So think about that when you consider him. Number 7, I have a guy who's he's a unique individual. I love his tape, and his name is Cam Sample from Tulane, the Green Wave. He had a great Senior Bowl, and I think that improved his draft stock tremendously. I predict him to go somewhere to the Baltimore Ravens. The type of build he is, the type of way he's played on film, he gives you that kind of feel that he's a Baltimore Ravens type of guy. The Tony Siragusa, Pernell McPhee's just got that kind of feel, that Baltimore Ravens smash mouth defense type of guy. Cam Sample's great when it comes to off the ball explosiveness, and Tulane often at times had him play off ball linebacker, mostly on the weak side, but the point is that he has freak athleticism, and he's fast enough to put out there. So he's not going to be on an island when it comes to passing downs. And I expect his coverage skills to only get better when it comes to his transition to the National Football League. Number 6, I have probably one of my favorite guys on this list. And at the start of 2020, he was going in the first round. And we'll get into why I project him as a strong second rounder. This gentleman's name is Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma. 6'4", 250 pounds. He's fast. He's athletic. He's physical as all get out. A very raw but freak athlete with potential through the roof. Ronnie Perkins mastered the blitz in that defensive system over there in Oklahoma. I love the way he diagnoses the run. A very good run defender. He sees it quick, reacts, you're tackled in the backfield. That's usually the story with him. He'll use often the long arm technique, and he'll combine that with his speed to beat guys. So whether he's playing an off-ball linebacker, D-tackle, or he's on the end rushing the passer, he's going to use his skills to make that sack, to make that tackle in the backfield, and to be a coach's best friend for years to come. Whichever franchise lands Ronnie Perkins has definitely struck gold, but it's going to be in the second round. Number 5, I have Jalen Phillips from the Miami Hurricanes. I project him to go in the first or second round. Honestly, some people say that I've seen, and in their different mock drafts, that he's the best defensive end in this class. And there's not much argument you can make with his tape. His size, the size and speed ratio, like guys, his size are not as fast as he is, and I'm sorry for that. He's 6'5", 266 pounds. The size and speed ratio doesn't match. When you look at him on film, this guy just blows through blockers. When he plays off-ball linebackers, just diagnoses everything. He's good with speed, and he uses his hips well to ensure that he won't get beat in coverage. He's a defensive cornerstone with many different pass rushing skills up his sleeve. But my problem with Jalen Phillips is he had a huge concussion issue in college. He's very injury prone, so much so that he had to be a fifth-year senior, and he retired 1 year during college because of the concussions. But got a second opinion, came back to football, and has been lights out. So my concern is his injury history, and does a franchise take that chance on him in the first round? He's going in the first or the second. If it's in the first, it'll probably be the end, maybe to a Green Bay, Tampa Bay, something like that. Potentially Buffalo, but Buffalo's loaded on the defensive side of the ball as well. They got Shaq Lawson, who anchors that defensive line. So I think Jalen Phillips is a boom or bust guy. He's either going to be really good or the injuries are going to derail his career. So shout out to Jalen Phillips. I really hope you can be healthy at the next level, because the explosiveness is something you haven't seen. It's something you need to see. Moving on to the number 4 guy on my list, Georgia's own Azeez Ojulari. I project him to go in the first and second round. He's a bit undersized at 6'3", 244 pounds. Think of him as like a Gary Brackett, that all-pro linebacker that played for the Colts back in the day. He's very fast. He has a lot of quick moves, different stuff he uses when rushing the pass, or dropping back in coverage. This is another guy that's boom or bust. I say he's boom or bust because he's very explosive, huge repertoire of pass rush moves, but he is a liability in the run. He didn't really, on film to me, cover the run very well, and I think that can come with improvement over time at the next level. But his college tape does not show that, and that's a red flag to scouts. Hopefully he's coached well, and hopefully he has a chance to improve at the next level. I think Azeez Ojulari will go between the first or second round, maybe to the Steelers at 24th in the first round, I believe. Yeah, either Steelers, or might even fall 25th to the Tennessee Titans. I have them taking a linebacker, a very good linebacker out of Tulsa, which I will talk more about on the next episode tomorrow. So if they don't go with that linebacker, I think they're going to go with Azeez Ojulari if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't take him. Number 3, out of Texas, I project him to go within the first or second rounds. He's 6'4", 253 pounds, with a ridiculous skill set. Joseph Asai. Joseph Asai, to me, is very flexible. He's extremely athletic, well-balanced, and very tenacious when it comes to defending the run. I think he's best as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Don't put him on the defensive line unless it's on the end to run a contain against a Kyler Murray or against another quarterback who annoys the hell out of defensive coordinators, running the ball 60 times a day. He's quick, but he needs to grow his repertoire of moves. I think a team that will take a chance on him, and his best fit would probably be a Tennessee at the end of the first round, Baltimore Ravens, or potentially as a hybrid guy to New England Patriots defense with Bill Belichick. I really like him, and I think if he improves on his suspect ability when it comes to stopping the run and building his repertoire of pass rush moves, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. Number 2, my second favorite guy on the list. We'll say third, actually, because the number 1 guy is really nasty, and he's great at breaking blocks. But we are on number 2, and that is the 6'4", 268 magician, Kwity Paye from the Michigan Wolverines, whom I project to go in the first round. Kwity Paye is not in the first round of many mock drafts, and that upsets me. He reminds me of Rashawn Gary, former Packer that came out of Michigan. I just think Kwity Paye's made more plays. He loops on stunts well, which is something I love about edge rushers. You know, as a defensive tackle, for example, if we're looking at their defensive line. If the defensive tackle lined up over the center slants towards the guard, Kwity Paye is a master at doing that little stunt move and coming around, completely confusing the tackle and creating more blitz lanes. For example, if someone from the secondary, maybe the strong safety's creeping along that way to potentially come up and stop the run. If you run at that point, I think Kwity Paye sacks you or stops the run in the backfield for a loss. That technique alone is something I think scouts rave over and coaches love. He's a good bull rusher and a bull rusher 3-4 defensive end. Or potentially on some downs he could be 3-4 outside linebacker. Quickness and finesse is something he has, but regardless of his size, he lacks power, and that's something that interests me. Something I think that with weights, proper coaching, he might change at the next level. He reminds you at best of Zadarius Smith or Rashawn Gary, former Packers. I know, I apologize for that, a little bit of bias, but that's who I think of when I think of Kwity Paye. And finally, the last guy on my list. He is an absolute physical specimen. Gregory Rousseau, defensive end for the Miami Hurricanes, projected in the first round. 6'7", 265 pounds. He only had freshman tape. It's not really impressive, but he's very powerful as an edge rusher. Not really speedy. He's raw, needs coaching, and needs to hone the quickness, the speed, stuff like that. Because there are a lot of fast offensive players in this league, and they're only getting faster. He's a freak. Physically, has all the tools to be Reggie White, Bruce Smith, and Ray Lewis all in one. This guy is a generational talent at the position. I don't know where exactly he'll go, but he'll be gone in the middle of the first round. But the thing with Gregory Rousseau, because he only has sophomore tape, a player like him is a shot in the dark. You don't know exactly, definitely what you're going to get. Thus, that might push a lot of GMs back from getting him early in the first round, and he may fall. A lot of mock drafts have him going no later than between 15th and 19th picks, so potentially the Patriots, if they didn't have a quarterback issue, I would mock them picking him, but I don't think that's the case. Gregory Rousseau has everything that you look for in a franchise guy on the defensive end. He has length, power, athleticism, but his lack of tape leads me to dub him boom or bust, or shot in the dark. however you want to look at it. But Gregory Rousseau, at 6'7", 265, the speed, the size combination is off the charts. I think if he can get it together, he will be a force in this league for many years to come. That concludes my NFL draft special. The top 10 edge rushers. And it looks as though that would conclude our show. That would conclude our show, everybody. This was 413 Sports Talk, episode 24, Tuesday, April 14th, 2021. This morning at 10 a.m., I get a chance to sit down with a very, very talented Westfield Bomber. He goes by the name of William Brewster. The wide receiver / cornerback for the Westfield Bombers is going to sit down with us on 413 Sports Talk this morning and talk about his amazing skill set and the state of the Westfield Bombers and a whole lot more. Also, later on this afternoon, we get a chance to talk to a very special Central Golden Eagles basketball player. That is going to be a huge one. But I'm keeping that under wraps. I'm not going to let you know who. You're just going to have to tune in and find out. Finally, I close out the day with a conversation with a coach and physics teacher, none other than Mark Soren. Mark Soren is the coach of the Oxford Hills Comprehensive High School in South Paris, Maine. Please tune in as I get a chance to sit down with him and pick his brain about the football team, maybe a little bit of physics questions in there, and much, much more. This was 413 Sports Talk, episode 24. I am your host, Rahim Escalay. I wish you all nothing but love, the best, and I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and if I got anything wrong, if a fact was wrong, if you don't agree with anything that was said in this episode, please message us or leave something in the comment section, and I will adjust it and address it immediately. Thank you all. Have a great day.